We're joined now by the co-chairs of the Problem Solvers Caucus, Pennsylvania Republican Brian Fitzpatrick and New Jersey Democrat Josh Gottheimer. Good to have you both with us, and we got a lot of problems that you do need to solve. I want to start on what we just learned in the course of this program, which was Speaker McCarthy coming out and seeming to link some movement on the border to his willingness to move a Ukraine funding bill. Then you heard Lindsey Graham say how that would go down, or he wants it to go down in the Senate. He called it a three-legged stool. Would you get on board with what Graham proposed?
I would. I think we have a lot of challenges. I think we need to address all of them. It's actually consistent with the problem solver framework that we introduced last week. It addressed keeping our government open. It addressed Ukraine. It addressed our border and expiring authorities. We dealt with several of them in the continuing resolution that passed, thankfully, yesterday. But there are remaining items that are unaddressed, the border and Ukraine being two of them. But
the border proposal that has passed, the H.R. 2 that Speaker McCarthy talked about, would not go anywhere in the Democratic Senate.
That's not going anywhere. I mean, but I think, to Brian's point, we have to address both, and I think it's a false choice to say we're going to do one or the other.
Right.
Like, clearly, we know that we can make it the next 45 days to support Ukraine and make sure we stand up to Putin and to China and Iran, which is critical to our national security and to our allies. But also, we need to make sure that we deal with and deal with the challenges at the border and border security and live up to our values there. Right.
What Graham laid out, though, was not just funding for Ukraine. It was, I mean, almost a year's worth of funding for Ukraine. Can you get that done in 45 days?
Well, I think we can't. We know that we can get through the next 45 days, but it's a matter of days and weeks and not months and years in terms of what we have available to make sure that Ukraine has what they need to stand up to Putin and his dictatorial march. So I think we have to make sure that we get some legislation to the floor quickly. I know the Speaker is open to that. He signaled that he's open to that. I think that's key. And but we have other challenges, and we can do more than one thing at once.
And I do think the Ukraine funding should be for a longer period of time. It should be for a year. It sends the right message to Ukraine, sends the right message to Russia. And it's perhaps, I think, the best solution inside our chamber to get that done. And the border security language, just so you know, in our framework was a bipartisan bill. It was Kirsten Sinema and Tom Tillis's bill in the Senate. Myself, Jared Golden in the House, is a two-party solution of the border. It represents the intersection of where the two parties agree.
And you think you can get the Speaker on board to consider
I'm going to work hard. Yep.
You also heard today the call, a motion to vacate, to oust Speaker McCarthy from leadership. He says he can survive. Can he?
Yes. To me, what's going to be put on the floor is a choice. Are we going to reward bipartisan bills being put on the floor, or are we going to punish them? That is a choice. Substitute out Kevin McCarthy's name for Hakeem Jeffries or anyone else. If the situation were reversed and the squad tried to do the same to Hakeem Jeffries, should he be Speaker at some point, I can tell you what I would do on the first and 100th vote. I would vote to table it. Because I don't think that sends the right message. I think what we need to do is encourage bipartisanship, encourage two-party solutions to be brought to the floor. That's what we need. And to do the opposite would really be rewarding this Hatfield versus McCoy brand of politics that's destroying our nation.
Gates says he's going to keep coming, and he can, right? He only one vote needed for a motion to vacate.
And that may require changing the rules package. I mean, this cannot be the trajectory for the remainder of the Congress.
To stop one person from being able to.
Correct. I mean, that was, so keep in mind.
That was how Speaker McCarthy got to the leadership. That was one of the promises he made.
That was one of the changes that was made, but we were given assurances that was never going to be used, that it was a matter of principle that it be remained at one. So you can't have it both ways. And 90% plus of the American public does not want us to be voting on a motion to vacate every day for the rest of the term.
Is he going to get Democrats?
Sounds like Brian was open to Hakeem there. I don't know.
But are Democrats going to join Gates?
You know,
he needs to get 218 votes.
The way I look at this, you've got a civil war raging in the Republican caucus, and as it has been since the beginning, right, with extremists trying to take out common sense, and they keep doing it time and again. And so I'll leave that to Brian. You know, that's their caucus, and I'm from Jersey. We don't mess with other people's families, and so I'll leave it to them. But I'll tell you what we're very open to from a policy front. We continue to do this, as you saw yesterday, as you saw the debt ceiling. If there's bipartisan ideas brought to the table, we're always going to be at that table negotiating in good faith. That's what the Problem Solvers Caucus does. It's how we got yesterday done, right? If you remember, that's how yesterday happened. You had every Democrat plus one help cover for the 91 Republicans they lost. We all came together for the good of the country to stop a government shutdown and make sure we help people and help families. That's the kind of stuff we should be sitting at a table about negotiating in good faith, and we'll continue to do that.
Republicans have shown they can't govern on their own. Fair?
Well, I've seen the only way these things are getting done is with Democrats, right? So, and bipartisan governing. And that's good for the country. People want us to put the country over party.
So can you say we won't be back in the same place November 17th talking about a possible government shutdown?
Well, we're 2 out of 435, so we're not in a position to make that prediction. What we can say, like we said last Sunday on a show that Josh and I appeared together, we will do whatever it takes to keep the government open. We made that pledge. We were prepared to take drastic action yesterday had that not passed the floor.
What do you mean?
We will do, well, there are a number of mechanisms where we could force a floor vote on our two-party solution.
Okay.
There are options for us to do it. We were prepared to do it. Thankfully, that's one of many. Yeah. Thankfully, we didn't have to go there, but we will do what it takes to make sure the lights are on in the United States government, for sure.
Work around, I think the point is we're going to work around the clock these next 45 days. But this cycle of insanity has to stop, and that's what Brian and I believe, right? We need long-term solutions. We can't keep doing this and wasting our time. We have real challenges in the country.
And this includes the debt ceiling as well.
And
we cannot be constantly on the 11th hour of brinksmanship.
That's why we were behind that deal.
It's not even the debt ceiling. The FAA is going to be authorized.
100%.
You haven't passed into law a defense bill.
Yep.
These are the most basic
the extremists,
things.
you saw how we got here. These ultra-right-wing extremists keep fighting against reasonableness and common sense. They refuse to vote for the defense bill, right? Multiple times they kept trying to take it down.
Yep.
And that's the point. That's why you need bipartisan solutions right now in this Congress. It's the only way we're going to be able to govern.
The extremists are the problem in this country. It's the bipartisan moderates that are the solution. That's what we believe in.
And you have a proposal to get all of
100%.
this done in 45 days.
We introduced our bill last Friday.
Yep.
It's the only bipartisan bill. It's equal co-sponsors, Democrat and Republican, represents where the intersection of the United States of America is. And that's what our country wants. They want us to approach government the same way we approach our personal relationships.
But then you heard, I mean, as we were talking about with Senator Graham, I mean, I asked him about Donald Trump. He still won't come out and support Ukraine aid. You have other presidential candidates wavering on
He called for the government to shut down.
So
President Trump.
Yes.
Right.
So if people are governing by popularity polls and not by the mandate that you say you feel you have, how do you solve that? I mean, these
I can tell you the overwhelming majority
of Congress.
I can tell you the overwhelming majority of Americans support the approach that Josh and I take. You approach government the same way you approach your personal relationships. You don't allow the perfect to be the enemy of the good. You take 80% of something rather than 100% of nothing. You come to the center, you build consensus, and you move forward. That's how all of us operate our lives. Mm-hmm. It's this loud, noisy fringe, the Hatfield versus McCoy saber rattlers, that get all the attention, but that's not where most of the American people are. That's why Josh get attacked from the left and the right every day.
Do you think Speaker McCarthy learned the lesson that you
100%, and I think, yes. I mean, yesterday was Exhibit A, and I hope that's a breaking point.
We have a 5-seat majority. That's all they have. The only way we're going to get stuff done for the country is by us working together. That's the only way, as we're seeing.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thanks.